So here we are on the cusp of week 1 of the 2022 season for the San Francisco 49ers. And the way I'm going to try to do this this time around is try to make these quicker. Make these previews and recaps much shorter. Unless if they call for it to be a little longer. That being said, make it simplified for you all. I mean, just wanted to get that out of the way before we get into the real meat and potatoes of our very first preview towards the first game of the season. So with that being said, let's get right into the 49ers taking on the Bears in week 1. My thoughts on that. Well, we're just hours away from kickoff, especially in regards to my San Francisco 49ers, as they're in Chicago, in Soldier Field to take on the Bears. And, of course, well, we can be looking forward to some, I can't say it right now, because some people are sleeping, Bears football. I mean, I still could say it either way, but not that loud. But anyway, yeah, week 1 of the opening season. No more preseason talk. No more offseason bullshit. It's time to play the game. So anyway, here we are. Interesting season. All that offseason talk. Let's see what it brings to the table for the 49ers. Specifically for Trey Lance. It's time for him to prove himself as a starting quarterback in this league. And that starts this week, today, against the second-year quarterback that was also taken in the same draft as him last year, Justin Fields. For Justin Fields, it was kind of a hit-and-miss year last year. He didn't have the full competent offensive line, which he still doesn't have. He still doesn't have the full complement of receivers, which he still doesn't have. He didn't have the complimentary head coach in Matt Nagy, which I don't know. He may not have in Matt Eberflus quite yet, but we don't know yet. We don't know yet with the Chicago Bears team. What we do know is that Justin Fields does seem primed for maybe a solid year 2. We don't know how his supporting cast is going to turn out, especially when you're considering Velus Jones is not going to play in this game. He's ruled out. So that pretty much leaves you with Darnell Mooney and Byron Pringle as your primary receivers. And what else is left? And speaking of the running game for the Bears, you got Khalil Herbert as your primary back, and then what else? On the offensive line for the Chicago Bears, it's more of the same. And then now, recently, they added Alex Leatherwood from the Las Vegas Raiders, who has not been great, but he's going to be coming in a rotational role. So, yeah, the offensive line is pretty so-so. So, for the 49ers, to get this win against the Chicago Bears, obviously, the number one thing pretty much all that during that offseason was Trey Lance. He has to show, especially during his time in the offseason, during the preseason, he has to show some progress. He has to attack the field, spread the ball around to Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, get that ball out. And what I like to see from him in this game is zip the ball out. I mean, sure, I can rip on Jimmy Garoppolo all I want, but the thing I can at least appreciate about him is not only the quarterback slide, and the quarterback sneak, but also how he can get the ball out pretty quick in the short-term passing game. Trey Lance still needs to work on that. Of course, he still has that long deep ball, that long arm deep ball for Trey Lance, but yeah, there's some things that he still needs to work on with the short-term passing game, and some precision accuracy in that department. But look for Trey Lance to, of course, target Deebo, Ayuk, Juwan. Who's there? Danny Gray. So look for him to target those guys. As for the running game, we still don't know yet. We didn't see much of Elijah Mitchell during the preseason, if not at all. Tyron David Price was okay during the preseason. They finally cut. I think they finally cut Trey Sermon, so he's gone. So you pretty much got Elijah Mitchell, Tyron Davis-Price. So you got to figure out your running game during this first game against the Bears. The offensive line was kind of a hit or miss during the preseason, especially in that third game against the Houston Texans. But let's be fair. Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey on the exterior were not playing in that game. And also Aaron Banks and Jake Brendel, still trying to figure out their roles. I know we still don't have a true center in the lineup. I wish we did, but here we are in week 1. So that offensive line is going to be key. And there's obviously going to be some growing pains, but they're still going to be key. And giving Trey Lance some time to throw the ball, or like establishing the running game with Mitchell and Tyron Davis-Price and Jeff Wilson Jr. So it's imperative for this offensive line to succeed in this first game against the Bears, especially against Roquan Smith. Now, as for the who may be inactive in this game, George Kittle, our star tight end. He's been like going up and down on the injury report with a groin injury. Some have been saying it's been pretty serious. And I think the latest update. Now, defensively, of course, that's the big key. That's the biggest strength of our team. Of course, you want to score points on offense, but the biggest strength is, of course, getting Justin Fields off the field, and that, of course, starts with the pass rush. Nick Bosa, Drake Jackson, Eric Armstead, Kerry Hyder Jr. That's a very, very strong defensive line pass rush. So it's going to be imperative on them to attack the offensive line, which is still kind of weak for the Bears. So you got to find a way to attack the edge, get some inside passing moves on those offensive linemen, so you can get to Justin Fields and corner him. He's a good scrambler quarterback, so you gotta find a way to sandwich him. In the secondary, you won't have Jimmy Ward for 4 weeks because he's on short-term IR. So you have pretty much Talanoa Hufanga starting in this place. So you gotta figure out what you're going to do in the middle secondary. I would like to see some progression in the corners, especially from Charvarius Ward and our other opposite corner. Oh, Emmanuel Mosley. I'm sorry, I'm getting my corners mixed up here. So overall, I'm looking forward to this game. But of course, the most important thing for this 49ers game against the Bears on week 1, which, by the way, I'm not going to be able to watch because I'm going to be at work, sadly. It's going to suck so bad, is for Trey Lance to show some good starting improvement. He's got to get that ball out faster. Kyle Shanahan's got to give him open the playbook for him. None of that bullshit from last season where you made him run a bunch until like the second half of the Houston Texans game, where you just let it rip, let him throw the ball. Finally, in the second half of that game last year, you got to let him throw the ball. And of course, you don't want to do it all the time, but at least do it most of the time so you can like let him get his sea legs in the passing game. You got to see what he has throwing the ball. So, of course, the offensive line, got to protect them and get that pressure onto Justin Fields. You do all that, you win this game. I obviously got to pick that 49ers to win over the Bears. Even, objectively, I still see the 49ers as a stronger team over the Bears. The Bears are still a rebuilding team. You still don't know what you have with Matt Eberflus. Justin Fields, I do believe he is an up-and-coming quarterback, just like Trey Lance, but the talent still needs some work. You don't have much help around the receiving game, and not much backup help behind Khalil Herbert. So I'm going to roll with the 49ers here. Just as long as, of course, they don't play any on Sunday morning. So go Niners in week 1, and may the football gods be ever in our favor. Let's go Niners.